I know this is like a big hype chapter for Wise. Like Wise got a really cool moment, as well as we've got a moment from Laguna showing, signs of how he'll fit in the crew, and obviously having some form of experience that could tie him to the crew. We have to still look at the real possibility at the end of the chapter. So I'll get to that in a moment, but like the chapter begins, and we have like Sister and Witch and everybody on the ship, just kind of, all that, everybody that's left having some form of hand in play over what's going on with Clean, with Klein, Sylph as she is. I guess gotta stick with Sylph because I don't know, Clean and Klein just sound weird. But with Sylph, and Sister is going to go into her memories and try and figure out what something, what the problem is. I'm guessing maybe it'd be like in your head, because it'd be the memory and like stored somewhere within your brain that is the thing that you're remembering is the problem. Maybe she could like nullify it. Maybe like whatever part of her brain that memory is stored in, like heal it so that like the brain would just kind of calm down and maybe like forget about it momentarily, or at least enough just to kind of pass out. I don't really know. It's a weird thing that the machine was doing with that one, because going inside of somebody's brain, you can learn about what it was, but it really depends on what the trauma is, if knowing about it is even going to like directly fix it. But with information dropped like by Mueller himself, he says essentially that the Rutherford family, they were the people that funded his research. That's where they got all of his grants and whatever, I would assume. Ended up pulling, all of their financial support to him after he was arrested for the crimes that he had committed, after finding out like what he actually did, and then went and got revenge with his, machine body, and he like killed the parents and took these children, and that's when he was like chopping up Jin and giving him these robot parts and whatnot. Because he even mentioned at the start when he's like, "Oh, how is he?" He's like, "Actually, no, I don't even need to ask. Like, I'm the one that worked on him, so I know he's doing all right." Just kind of speaking more from the mechanical standpoint of Jin's composition. And again, that's like really sadistic on a couple fronts, of not only like he's the cause of why he's like that, but it's like, oh yeah, all those parts I give him, at least I know those are good. And he only really looks at him for those parts. Like, it's really messed up, just in general. And people were talking about recently, like, who's more evil between like Drac and Joe and Mueller, and definitely Mueller, because Drac and Joe, he's got some form of like rules, it would seem, of like when he's going to kill people and when not to. But Mueller just seems to enjoy it. He seems way more like cold-hearted, sadistic, but also the fact that he finds pleasure out of it. He just comes off as a way more evil guy. But I was really happy to see him get thrashed a bit in this chapter. But at the very end is where my concern is. Laguna that's showing up in general, I was actually really surprised about. And then what's going on with like Shiki and everybody on Forestra, because Mueller like activates some form of self-destruct system. And my guess of what this is, because I was trying to think about it on like what would, like, how this would all work out. Because at first I was like, oh well, maybe he put some form of doomsday device inside of Forestra, so if he would never get caught again. Like if the government ever came after him, he could blow up the planet, erase the evidence, and then escape. But Xenolith knows about it, and clearly it was built into the planet before him, because he even talks about it's like the defense system of their of like the land itself. And so my guess is it has to do more with Narrow, and maybe Narrow has those put all in like the planets he owns, just in case like if somebody came to take them over, he could, like, if there was an all else fails, like his whatever squad members he sent there to go like cleanse the threat. If they didn't work, then he could just like, all right, I'm just gonna blow the planet up. If I can't have it, nobody can. Kind of just move. But that's the only thing to me that would make sense, rather than just being like some self-destruct sequence within a planet. There definitely has to be a lore reason behind it. But Shiki taking Xenolith is again very intriguing, because there's a panel when Xenolith says like get off the planet, and then like his body sloops down and then seems to completely just go silent. And Shiki takes it, but I'm wondering if he actually like is stuck in this body, like if he's maybe like a brain in a jar somewhere, and he's just using these robots as a proxy. Like he's like, well, this robot's going to get destroyed. Might as well pull out or something like that. Maybe put his mind in a different robot. But if Shiki's taking it with him, obviously that has to be significant. So like, is he going to eventually speak through this robot? Is this going to be like Shiki's master and how he learns like stuff in the future? Like maybe at some random intervals, Xenolith will have his consciousness come back in the machine and then like teach Shiki something, maybe answer a question for him or something along those lines. But then while Wise is battling Muller, he uses a Grandine Wing, Grandy Wing, and it's just another reference to hear what Hiroshima been doing. All of Wise's attacks are named after fairy tale dragons. Like he's doing a very heroic thing, giving them these badass names, as well as on top of that, they're all references. I really like that a lot. I'm wondering how far he's gonna go, because when I saw this one, I actually didn't think of Grandine at the start. I thought of Scissor Runner. So I guess machine that just puts it more in the eventual reveals for an attack from Wise if he ever gets more outside of like the main ones, because I don't think he's got any like the more obscure dragons like Scissor Runner, and he hasn't got anything crazy like Acnologia or something. But nonetheless, I still like seeing him chop up Muller, but Muller having that the needed opportunity, destroying the Arsenal suit, dismantling like Wise's weapon, because he's having trouble moving obviously himself. He needed the suit to move, but also that's where like his power and weaponry was. And then Laguna showing up. Laguna showing up is still alright, because it's not like he had no way of getting there. There's no reason why he would go there. Like, he could have just flown there and then taken the same route to where they were. Like, he already knew everything was going on. It's just surprising, because I didn't think he would be involved. But, again, it makes sense if he decided to come over and help them. And at the end, when he's, like, talking to Wise, and Muller's like, you don't have a weapon, you can't do anything to me now, but he could still attack. Wise is able to do something that a lot of people have believed it was a real opportunity for his abilities. He's like this technique Mortal Crash, and when he essentially did is he reconfigured the machine parts on Muller to just explode. Like, he just turned them into a bomb, because he has one of the most dangerous and yet like double-sided abilities in Eden Zero when you really think about it, because Mishima has done that before. Like, he did that with Inferno, like Dragon Slaying magic, a very powerful magic, but it has like a very very heavy weakness to motion sticks, where you have like Wise, who he's a technopath in a sci-fi series, so he's got the strong opportunity of manipulating machinery. But if you put him on Forestera and it was literally just like a barren forest planet, he would have nothing. He's very easily able to be rendered without anything if you just take away machines and put him just in a room. But it's something that you're going to run into a lot because of the theme of the series being sci-fi. I think that's actually a really good balanced way to do it. I mean, plus he's got what I would imagine all the like extra weaknesses levels to EMPs, because it wouldn't just shut off ether gear, it shut off machines nearby, which could double screw him up and even screw up like anything he had preset or planned. But regardless of that, like I said, the cool parts of the chapter, the really interesting, like the sad backstory stuff, everything in there else was really good. The thing, though, that I want to really take note on, that it upsets me a little bit, but it proves a point, is at the very end, when Wise blows up his body and he's just a head, he's not dead. He's not dead just as like a disfigured head. He's still going to be alive, by how his machinery and human enhancements work. And I said that one of the reasons I wanted Jin to be there is everybody here, Laguna, Hermit, Wise. I don't think Hermit's gonna try and kill him. Wise, we know, has the full like readily available decision to kill someone. We saw that with Draken Joe. It's not like I would never kill anybody. He's willing to if it's severe enough, and I feel like Muller, is severely evil enough as a human being, vile enough as just an individual, that you'd want to kill him. But right now, he's a head on the ground. We don't know entirely, though, about Laguna. Maybe Laguna will, have him cry and then capture him. But the fact he's not dead means he has the opportunity to escape. And that was the biggest thing for me being worried about if Jin wasn't there. Because we know Jin, you put Jin in this scenario, the first thing he would do following this is go to kill Muller. Like, he's not going to let him just live. Maybe he'll show up. Maybe he'll find out, because near the end of the near the beginning of the chapter, when they were like broadcasting what he was saying, or at least between the Eden Zero ship and what's going on with Hermit, because they said that Hermit turned, I think, her communication device back on. I'm trying to find the exact panel about that. But to have that, maybe Jin heard and is going on there. Because Jin is legitimately, like I said, he's the guy that would go for the kill and not let this guy get away. He's not going to let this dude wander off, have his villain, Team Rocket's blasting off again scene. But I can fully see it happening with Wise in them. And I like it. It's both one thing I will, just as the last thing I want to say, I both like it and dislike it. Because I want to see this guy dead, but if Mishima wants to further keep progressing him as this evil, vile scientist who every single time we see him, we know he's doing something like horrific and it just absolutely like putrid, like bottom grade levels of, the most scum of humanity. We're going to see him there. It's going to add like a darker tension and make things more serious. But also it will kind of like play him more out as a villain. Like it will build on his value as a villain within the series. It's one of those things, like, you hate him, but at the same time, he's a villain, so it's working. Like, his whole stick, like, it just completely fits, and what he's been doing has been effective. But anyway, other than that, though, comment below, tell me your thoughts about this chapter, and tell me your thoughts about where this is going. This was a pretty fast, like, chapter to read. Like, I didn't have a whole lot to say about it. I thought I would, but I thought it would be way more focused on Jin's backstory, and at the same time, like, it's obvious after finding it out. We didn't, like, when we got the information, it made sense of why it wasn't, like, a full Jin-focused, like, chapter, because you really could summarize what had happened between, everything we already knew, and the way that his story, has already been told. Like, his whole stuff with the lab, we already know from Hermit's backstory, so that backstory connecting over to this one, saves a lot of time. That's one of the things I do like what Mishima does, is because then it saves flashback chapters, unless it's going to add new information. Generally you're able just to kind of note it, and it's like, oh well, this character we know from this backstory. Like, he's done that with a good couple other characters throughout his stories. I've always really liked that, because then you could easily run something like, I know Naruto had like a huge thing, like flashbacks galore, lots of long flashbacks. It's actually One Piece too. Sometimes they spend a long time in like character flashbacks, and I don't know, I guess I'm not as used to it, just because Mishima will, for the most part, more reference older ones and improve on them, instead of, for the most part, just doing really long new ones. And other series still do that, but I think Mishima does it way more often. But anyway, other than that, though, comment below, thumbs up the video, but friend the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. Other than that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and thank you all for listening. Bye.